It's me, it's TMZ. So welcome to TMZinsider.com. Tony Zayas here with you. And this week, in our first video, we're interviewing someone very special and well-known in the industry. And if you don't know him, you're going to be surprised and you're going to get a lot of great value from what he has to offer here today. Today I'm going to be talking with Dana Zezzo, the Chief Marketing Officer of Jetline. Now Dana's been a pioneer and he's a leading voice out there in the social media world. And what we're going to talk to Dana about is a little bit of everything, kind of predictions, where he sees things going in 2013. Real interesting stuff. He's going to give you business predictions, talk about products, and then he's going to talk about technology and give you some tips that you can leverage as you move forward and make 2013 your best year ever. All right, today we're here with Dana Zezzo, who's the Chief Marketing Officer over at Jetline. So Dana, thank you for being here today on TMZ Insider.
Am I the first guest?
You're the very first guest. So welcome, we're honored to have you. So
great to be here.
You know, this being the first episode, what we really wanted to do is we kind of wanted to talk predictions. Brand new year. It's exciting to jump into a new year, get excited about possibilities. And so I wanted to see, Dana, what you think is in store for 2013, things you see coming down the road. So a couple of different areas. So first of all, I will ask you from a product perspective,
okay,
where do you see the industry going? What do you see happening in 2013?
From a product perspective, I see two categories really taking probably the forefront, and that would be technology pieces. So you got the cases, you know, you've got the USB plugs, you have chargers, headphones, you have a lot of pieces that can be branded, whether it be the piece itself or the casing, the delivery of the item. I see that being a big in the industry. Jetline's very aware of this and looking at all the possibilities, and we have a few. Probably not as many as I'd love to have, but we have a few.
What do you guys currently have?
USB is going to be big already. We've actually launched it fourth quarter last year, and it's one of the colors actually sold out before the end of the fourth quarter. And so that was like an early arrival. So that's a big piece for us that we're going to be, and we're going to expand on that. We see the ability to do multi-chargers, things like that. So, and we're looking at a few very simple device cases, iPad cases, phone cases. There's some suppliers, don't get me wrong, in the industry that are doing a phenomenal job with it. But Jetline tends to start with the simple stuff first, so I'm excited about that. Also see the health, the awareness part of, you know, we've launched a fitness bottle that's specific for running, the way you hold on to it. Getting a lot of good response from that. We launched exercise bands for people traveling, can work out in their hotel rooms or on the road. Protein shakers or vitamin, drink shakers, energy shakes. Now a lot of energy shakes have a lot of vitamins in them.
You guys do the shake weight?
The shake? We do not do the shake.
Okay, just had to ask.
Yeah, fill it up with water and so the awareness pieces that transitions into bringing food with you to whether it be to work or whatever. So you're seeing a lot of food storage pieces that are would make the Tupperware people proud, I guess. But a lot of where you bring in, trying to encourage to bring healthier food to work.
Yeah, definitely. Hot trends.
Technology and health awareness, fitness awareness.
Awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, I think we see a lot of that on the rise. So yeah, that's sounds like a good pick. I would ask from a kind of a business perspective, where do you see kind of innovations or change, or in the economy we're in, what's coming? What can you project?
From a business perspective, first of all, I step all the way back and look at the industry and look at all the economic factors that would, either help or hurt our industry. I don't see any major indicators that would a major down,
Mm-hmm.
or at the same token, a major up. I see relatively flat to up, and up because a lot of the up in the industry is a false sense of up. A lot of it's acquisitions. So acquisitions can be perceived as up when you don't analyze the down, the fall off on the other side the right way. That's not good or bad. It's just it's a false sense of up. And so I see the industry growing. I see the industry getting smarter in the way that it communicates with the end users. And I think the smarter the industry gets, the more that transaction will be delivered in a professional manner, which causes the PO values to go up and causes the quality of the product to go up, and that can be perceived as growth. But really, it's a more educated distributor having a more educated communication with the end user, which causes them actually to buy more because they're buying for the right reasons. So from a business standpoint, I see a little bit of growth. I see a lot of acquisitions, both on the supplier side and the distributor side. And that's a good thing. Acquisitions cause efficiencies. They cause scale economy. They cause companies to invest their money smarter over a wider platform. I see a huge push in the industry for something that it struggled to get its arms around, which is ERP and contact management solutions. So I think the industry now is financially stable enough coming out of the recession that they're going to, everyone was so worried about investing in inventory coming out of the recession. Everyone, so many people guessed that wrong, and that hurt a lot of companies. But I think everyone's got their feet back underneath them now. They're coming off of a pretty good year, some better than others, but for the most part, a generally good year. And I see a lot of investment back into the software platforms of both the supplier and I'm seeing the distributor. I'm involved in some of the conversations that's happening where the distributors are also re-looking at their platforms.
Very cool. Something I want to dive into, I want to talk about social media because that's an area that we've had a lot of conversation and you're really active and very visible there. But before we do that, we had an interesting conversation over lunch talking about kind of technology and kind of the sales process, talking about online buying and all that. Where do you see that going? And keep in mind, kind of my goal here with this platform here, TMZinsider, is we want to help distributors grow. We want to make, give everyone the opportunity to make 2013 their best year. So what advice can you give in that area?
Well, I'm very fortunate that I'm able to spend time with people and have a level of conversation that I know a lot of numbers and I know a lot of, have my finger on kind of what's going on from major distributors to screen printers and embroiderers because of my background. And so in that wide bandwidth of our customers, I see, the industry thought that the online model was just gonna. I remember like when the internet came out, it's like promotional products is doomed forever. Well, here we are, many years past that, and it's not doomed. As a matter of fact, the traditional distributor could be as healthy as it's ever been. The ones that have been progressive, but at the same token, I see some online models having great success. So I think that there's room for both. I think that the online model's strengths will be commodities because you're comparing something that you understand. It's easy to buy something online when it's common. When it becomes uncommon, I think that transaction becomes more challenging, and that's where the value of your relationship with the end buyer, being a distributor, becomes much more valuable because there's a lot more conversation. There's a lot more that has to take on there, and I think it's critical that that there's not this doomsday from the traditional distributor, There's room for both. Would the traditional distributor love to have all that commodity business? Yeah. Would the commodity online model love to have all the specialty business? Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
But we all love to have it all, but that's not the case. So I think if you're a traditional distributor and your main book of business, your portfolio is on commodities, you're probably going to want to really dig in and really educate yourself and figure out how to transition out of that, because you're at the highest exposure point. Vice versa, I think that an online model who tries to claim they're a specialist in some of this really niche product or a very, very niche campaign could do more damage to themselves because they're perceived to be a commodity broker, for lack of better words, and that could backfire. So both parties have to kind of decide and start respecting what role they each play. Suppliers deal with who they are every day and accept and deny and try to work through who they are. And now the distributor more than ever is having that same problem. I think, if I could give one tip that I think would help the industry is that I've been in the industry 20 years now, and I've been, I'm 44, so I've been in it in a sense where my mind was very open. I wasn't older and set in my ways. I was very young and eager to learn.
Now you're just a grouchy
Now I'm set in my
old
ways.
man.
Yeah. Now it's get social or get out. No, I'm just kidding. Now if you're not on Facebook, don't talk to me. No, I'm just kidding. But I look back and we've taken, this was our conversation at lunch, we've taken the shopping experience out of promotional products, because we've all been told that if we're not the expert, we're going to lose. If you're not the expert, you're going to lose. You're not the expert, you're going to lose. Well, by becoming the expert, you're trying to force feed. I see both suppliers and distributors doing this. Force feed the solutions to your customer and not having the customer play any ownership in the role of shopping to pick what they want, which I think is a big mistake. Whether you like to walk through the mall or not, if you are an avid outdoorsman, you might hate going to the mall with your significant other, but boy, I tell you, hand you a Cabela's catalog and don't talk to me for 2 hours. You're shopping.
Yeah.
We still have to let the end buyer take some ownership in picking out what they want, and I think that will translate in faster closure of POs, newfound budgets, and higher value of the actual PO will have a higher value. When someone finds something they're passionate about, they buy more of them. And we're trying to take that away. By being the expert, we're not letting them shop. I have significant issues with that.
Experts aren't always expert listeners.
Correct.
Right? And do you think listening more could help?
Yeah, I think just, back to the bare bones, learning what... listening what your customer, what's the event, when is it theme based, who's attending, all those qualifying questions you learned from the first day you walked in sales school.
Yeah.
If you go back to those, then you can give suggestions to your customer. And look, bestsellers, great suggestion. I agree. We do it as suppliers. I think you should do it as a distributor. You should suggest bestsellers. Case studies where those items worked in the past, absolutely. But if you lock your customer into that, you're limiting the budget they're going to spend because they don't have any ownership. And again, it's like, you force feed me to buy a car I don't want to buy, I'm going to pay the minimum amount for it.
Yeah.
If you let me walk around the lot and I fall in love with the truck that has every bell and whistles, I suddenly find money that I swore I didn't have before.
It's probably like, I guess, kind of the Amazon model that people tend to like kind of the soft suggestion. Like when I go to buy something on Amazon and it shows other things you may like, I like to see that.
Yeah.
I'm not turned off by that. I'm actually interested by that. But it's it's just, oh, you may like this.
Yeah, I mean, we trust algorithms, right?
Yeah.
As humans today, the algorithm defines what we do on a daily basis. It defines what we see on Facebook. It defines what we see on Twitter. It defines, what we see when we browse Google or whatever. And those algorithms, it wasn't an idiot who created those. And they weren't created to mislead us. they were actually created to better society and make our transactions more efficient, more targeted, more more pleasing in transaction. So we've come a long way from being force-fed what we didn't like. We actually did. We weren't admitting it. To now, the common sight of today follows the exact Amazon model you're describing, which is if I go to a website and it doesn't describe other things to me, it's like there's something wrong with the site. Like this isn't a very modern site. I'm expecting it. So, hats off to Amazon or, whoever gets total credit for that suggestive, getting me closer to what I really want. And it's scary, but mathematics can figure out what you want before you know you want it.
It definitely could be scary.
It is scary.
So when someone returns something, they say it's because of the imprint. We were talking about this a little bit.
I would highly question that.
You'd question that.
I would say, if I could, step out of my role at Jetline, which I have to, and I wear that hat, and I could just go on this research for, independent research for the industry. I guarantee that I could prove that a majority of the returns that a supplier deals with are not because there really is an imprint problem, or it really is the wrong color, or it really is the wrong size. I think it's because the end user was fed something that they may not have really wanted, but because the expert sold them to it, they trusted it, and when they got it, they realized it's not really what they wanted because they are not vested, they didn't pick it, and it's easy to return something you're not vested in. So all of a sudden now we start searching for excuses. It's not big enough, it's not the right color, it's not round enough, it's not square enough, it's the imprints, it's not good enough. I think that plays a big role on what suppliers are dealing with today.
So let them shop and be the guide.
You got to.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to let them shop. I think it's scary at first because you're kind of devaluing yourself. I mean, that's the mental thought process. But at the same time, you start working together because they start shopping. They ask a question. You're like, oh, yeah, and it's nothing wrong with the customer having the idea and not you. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't expect to walk into a store I expect to try to navigate my way through what I want, whether it be a gift or whatever. Now, I want some feedback, so I need you there for my feedback, but I don't want you telling me what my wife wants for Christmas. I don't like any part of that. Matter of fact, I'd walk out of the store. But yet, I think promotional product distributors do it every day.
Unless you don't know what your wife wants, then it's welcome.
Then we have bigger issues. So yeah, I think let them shop, be the consultant that works through that shopping experience with them. Because I think the upside value of letting the end buyer shop is that, like I said, they're vested in that pick, which means even if they get it and they don't like it, they picked it, so it's harder to have that conversation. And I think the PO values go up because they find budget money because they're a little bit more passionate about that choice. It's a tough transition because we've been pounded in our head to be the expert.
I was going to say it's a mindset shift.
It's a mindset shift.
It's a new year. Let's be open to new ideas. So very good. So before we make that leap to social media, we're going to gradually progress, and I'm going to ask you the question: email. Should we bring back the "You've got mail"?
Like the thing on my phone?
Yeah, like like the good old days. Remember when people were excited to get the email?
Yeah, it was exciting. It used to be like mail at your house.
Yeah, well now that should make the noise, right? Maybe that's something in the industry.
That would be vintage. If my mailbox told me I had
the
mail.
actual mailbox said, "You've got mail."
I think my mailbox should have like a scanner. So the post guy comes down and he has to run all those envelopes to a scanner. And then I get to look at all those images so I can determine whether I want to go out and get it or not.
I was just going to say, that'd be determined if I just pull right in.
And then I got mail, but I'm looking at the images in the front of the envelopes.
Beautiful.
Look, everything is cyclical, right? I mean, right now they're saying lumpy mail is back in because nobody's sending lumpy mail anymore.
Gets attention.
It gets attention because we've all moved away from it because we went from lumpy mail to emails to email blasts, and now we're posting on our Facebook fan pages. So it's cyclical, everything everything in advertising and marketing that's ever worked will still work today if you're lucky enough to time it right and have the right person that you're targeting. They'll all work. I think it's just a matter of being open-minded, and it's you know, so many people think that, you know, now being this chief marketing officer at Jetline, formerly running Pro Towels, that, you know, that social media was what did it all. It wasn't. It was, social media was, you know, an element of the overall campaign, branding campaign, but social media got all the attention. You know, we still did very traditional advertising. In very traditional ways. We still did trade shows. We still did mailers. We still sent out our catalogs. But, you know, we had different versions. We went to an electronic version and a hard copy. And again, I think it's a matter of, it's almost like you have to have this huge pot because everybody's going to like a certain ingredient that's in that soup. So the key is make sure you have a really good soup that someone's going to like something in the soup. And because every buyer now is activated by a different thing. So I think it's just a matter now. I think if there's anything that's in, it's the fact that you can jump from you know, different forms. It's one big campaign, but it's different little forms of touches. And as long as you can jump through those touches in an economical fashion and make it gel, I think you'll have a lot of success. But if you focus just on one, you're going to fail. Because your audience now, the way they're accepting information, you know, we joked a few minutes ago, you might send out the best mailer you've ever sent and do nothing, and you post one thing to Instagram and your product's sold out. You don't know what it is. There's no magic key. There's no silver bullet anymore. It's an element of all those in little nuggets that are digestible because somebody wants one of them.
Should they work together?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely work together. There should be a common theme amongst them. There should be a general idea. When someone sees something in this fashion, they should be able to know where the brand or the person by the style of it or whatever. I think you should be fairly consistent. But, you know, as fast as I say that, look at Facebook buying Instagram, you know, and look at the filtering now. Look at the idea of altering. I mean, it wasn't that long ago where cool was the most original photo you could get, meaning the truest to the real.
Yeah.
Now we're at the other end of the spectrum in a few years where we're filtering everything. We're making it look vintage. We're making it discolored. We're making it black and white or some of the other filters on purpose. Variety would be the key.
Yeah. I think that's some good advice there. So to go along those lines with social media, and this is an area that you've been real effective and have great presence, and I know you do a lot of presentations and people have learned a lot from you in the social media. What's some advice that you can give distributors that are out there that maybe are, you know, want to get involved but don't know what to do next? What are the do's, what are the don'ts?
I think one of the most important thing is to make sure you got your profiles filled out correctly. I think so many people are getting invites, meaning a friend request or a connection request. You know, each platform has a little different name for what they call the connection. And if you don't have your profiles filled out correctly, I think you're making the person that you're connecting with work, and that's a big mistake because they might not remember you. So if you don't remember someone, what do you try to do? Like, okay, well, where did they work or where did they live, or, you know, you're looking for something that you can remember. I think science would prove that a photograph is the best memory tool there are, and then which would lead me into your profiles. Make sure your profiles represent whatever you're trying to trigger them remember. Either it's this or it's your company logo or whatever, but not a picture of your dog or your sports car or your two kids, because I don't know your kids. We're trying to connect, and I don't know your kids. So then the connection doesn't happen. If the connection doesn't happen, then commerce doesn't happen. So profiles, without a doubt. It takes an evening. Just give up The Voice for one night and go fill out your...
No, not that.
Give up something, X Factor, anything for one night and just go fill out your profile so that when people find you, they can kind of connect all those dots. And then because it doesn't work until the connection takes place, and then the connection, and then you have this form of touches, and then you have something happen. And usually it's business in our sense. So fill out your profiles, but I think it's just to be true. Don't try to recreate your website on your fan page. Don't try to substitute your email blast, which is all your specials, with your fan page. Don't do that. If you want to send out specials, keep doing your email blast. I think the society right now wants humans. It wants human connection because it was taken away from us for a while in the past.
And we've been conditioned for quite some time.
And now I think the explosion of Facebook is purely society starving to reconnect as humans, which is a good thing because if you're in business or advertising, you can use that to your advantage.
You usually deal with humans.
You usually deal with humans, so make it human. I go to so many fan pages and it doesn't look any different than your web page. Okay, so why did I go there? Why did you have me go there? Yeah. Facebook, people say it's personal, not business. I totally disagree and take that debate on any day of the week. But again, I'll meet you halfway. If it's personal, then at least make your fan page somewhat about personal, like people you work or what the office party or something that gives me some human element, not a web element with no humans on it. So I think it's just get on there. When you see there's so much content out there now. Don't try to be original. If you don't feel like you're original, don't be original. If you see a great post, take a screenshot of it. My little trick is when I'm searching through Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and I see a post or content that really is intriguing to me, the way it's either worded or laid out or the way they did it, I take a screenshot. And then when I'm ready to go back, I go back and view those screenshots and go, oh, I love the way that they led that in. It teased me in the link, whatever it may be. And then I recreate it the Jetline way or the Dana way. So if you're not original, don't worry about it. Just trust me, no one's going to know you copied that layout, not even the content of the words, just the layout. And there's so much good stuff being put out there. My new rule now is with Facebook is that I tend not to ever do a status update that's text. All my text updates go to Twitter. And then all my video or photo updates tend to go to Facebook.
So why is that?
I just don't, because I sit and look at the news feed on Facebook and I don't read all that crap.
And I think that's...
I don't, people write them paragraphs.
Most people.
I don't read it. But I look at every photograph. And when there's two photographs, I always look at the second one. So think about the way you lay out your photographs. When you set up a photo album, it asks you what you want the photo to be, the cover photo to be, for a reason. Take the most engaging photo out of the batch that you uploaded and make that the cover photo, so that's the first thing people see in their news feeds before they start digging into the other photos. And drive your customers all over the place. Meaning, if post your pictures sometimes to Flickr and take your Facebook fans and force them to your Flickr. Cross feed all your platforms. Post a picture to Instagram and then tweet with the link. Go back and forth like crazy because people like to explore, and what happens is the phone always rings when people are on social media. So they're on the phone because now we're conscious as humans to do two things at one time, and that's have a conversation and then search. So if you lead them across these search patterns and you're trying to expose people to your bigger brand, they get a phone call, they're engaging in the phone call, and then they're seeing your tweet that leads them to your Flickr. They hit the link, next thing you know they're on your Flickr, and they started looking at the photos you suggested, and now they're 9 albums back because they're curious about the title of the album, which maybe been behind the scenes at ASI, or it's something that it's going to make them tick. So cross lead your base all over from back and forth through the networks because you're going to expose them to more.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I think that probably builds familiarity too. It's almost like when you work with someone and you run into them just by chance, you know, at the grocery store, in some element that you're not used to seeing them, it's kind of odd at first, but then there's almost a sense of kind of connection there.
Right.
So I think it's kind of the same thing in the
Absolutely.
social world. You're sending them around, they're interacting with you in different environments.
And all that, you know, what that, to my belief, and what I think, is that we're in a society, too, that we're starving for trust now. Corporate America has put a, you know, tarnished the way that, you know, I think individuals look at companies, and I think it's critical that if you oversee the, you know, any social media campaign, one of your key elements or takeaways is that when you're posting and when you're putting this stuff out there, that you're really trying to humanize your brand, and then the offshoot of humanizing is trust.
Yeah.
I think when you know somebody somewhere, you tend to trust somewhere more.
Yeah, because I think that is kind of what it all comes down to, is connecting with people, the trust that's built into that, and I think that's the magic behind social. It's not anything really technological, it's about people connecting. Right. Prior to social, we just had like websites that
prior to social media, you know, I used to have to make sales calls that were like, I had to go into the office and set up all the stuff on the desk and do like an actual sales call.
Yeah.
Ever since social media, my sales calls are hiking and mountain biking and, you know, doing all these great things I love, because my customers have discovered that what I like to do and what they like to do are similar. Well, if you have a choice of doing a sales call in an office or doing a sales call while on a 10-mile hike, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I know which one I'd rather do. So my life has gotten, I've been able to now blend my hobbies with my work more than ever before, and it be totally normal. I was just in LA recently, and you know, met a customer at a big event, and social connection, discovered that I love to hike, and he saw on one of the socials that I was going to LA. We connected via Facebook message, and he picked me up at my hotel, and we went on a 10-mile hike. And
nice. I
wasn't in his office. I wasn't schlepping product. I wasn't, you know, I was living life and connecting and getting to know a customer at the same time.
Probably at a deeper level than
probably
at a typical meeting kind of setting.
Absolutely, yeah. Because if you're taking them, I think, you know, both parties get out of their element. You know, whether it be my office or yours, I think the bond is stronger. You know, distributors get called on all the time by salespeople, and it gets it's probably, you know, the memory, there's no divider. They just probably all run together in their mind. So you take the customer out of that element, and you get them on a mountain bike, or you get them on a road bike, or you get them on a hike, or, you know, you get them out to their favorite meal, whatever, you know, by learning what their favorite food is. I just think it builds the relationship stronger, and I don't think any of us would argue that a stronger relationships usually equal more business.
But don't force them to ride the mechanical bull if they don't want to.
That's true, yeah,
right?
Don't force them, and then video them at
Learn that the hard way, but, and then share it on social media.
I know you're completely uncomfortable, so I'm going to video this and show the world. Exactly.
All right, very good.
Good stuff.
Really good stuff, Dana. Thank you very much.
Be sure to check out promokitchen.com to hear more from Dana Zezzo as he cooks up recipes for success. And tune in next week when Tony gives his 2013 industry predictions here at TMZinsider.com.